Well, good morning, everybody. It's so good to be with you again. Uh, I've been thinking a little bit over the last few days about what I might want to share with you today. And I don't know about you, but I love a good story, a good, true story, something that actually happened in someone's life that someone is sharing with you. Uh, I do know that even seemingly insignificant changes, whether they're personal, professional, or even organizational, almost always impact others, creating ripple effects that can be positive, inspirational, motivational, or negative. They can create fear, resistance, disruption to routine, depending on the relationship to you and to the change itself. People might react with frustration over inconvenience and disruption of habits, worry about losing a familiar relationship, fear of the unknown, or even anger. But your positive shifts can also motivate people in your circle of support, highlighting the power of individual action on those around you. Now, that's a lot of words, right? But it's really pretty simple and it can be, I think, pretty clearly illustrated by an interaction I had with one of my sons several years ago when he was in the military and he was transferring from one base to another and coming across country. And in the process of coming across country, he was stopping at dear old mom's to reminisce and share time and uh, just rest up a little bit and relax. And I was excited. I don't know about you, but when my kids come home, I just get all aglow. It's just the best thing ever. And this was no exception. And I'd not seen him for a while. He'd been overseas and now he was coming back and had to cross the entire United States to get to me. But I was going to be ready. You know the things moms do. They make their favorite foods. Uh, they make sure everything is the way it should be, so they'll have a happy time. They call all their kids' friends and let them know that he's coming into town, and we'll get together at the house and we'll do some junk and uh, be looking for his call because he'll be here before long. So anyway, uh, I'm ready. Day has finally come when he will be pulling into my driveway. Now, bear in mind, he's not coming in empty-handed. He's coming along with 2,000 pounds of household goods that we're going to have to keep somewhere for a while. Notice the vague term, somewhere for a while. It's okay. Been through this before. We'll handle it. We'll do what we do. While he had been gone, I had done a few different things around the house because I was wanting to make some changes and I was finding it difficult to stay focused. I don't know if you have trouble uh, staying focused when you're trying to either create a new habit or change an old habit or replace a habit. But I have trouble with that particular aspect of it. I have trouble staying focused. And I had been to a seminar uh, about focus a couple years ago, and the presenter had given us a wonderful homework assignment to take with us to help us get through this. So I thought, well, I'll implement that because it certainly fits what I'm trying to do right now. Uh, the focus was simple. All it said was pick something that is a long established little habit that you do many times a day. Just one thing. And in some small way, change it. And so I had chosen that I would move my trash can. Now, don't faint. It's okay. I survived. You can, in fact, I learned, move your trash can. However, it is not easy. I know some of you are probably laying on the floor right now and need to get up and dust yourself off and take a couple of deep breaths and calm yourself, but you absolutely can move the trash can and survive it. I am living proof. And I had gone through the process, and the process was connected to the change I wanted to make. Every time I would go to the previous location of my trash can. By the way, it had been there about 20 years, and I moved it a good 8 feet. So you can see how traumatic this experience was for me. At any rate, every time I went to the previous location of the trash can with whatever it was that I wanted to dispose, I would say to myself, remember, and I would repeat the change I was wishing to make. And through time, and it did take time, I cannot tell you how many tissues I dropped on the floor, or almost dropped on the floor, but it was significant because it was my kitchen trash can. And I began to get used to the new location. It was becoming a new habit, and so was the change that I had initially wanted to make. So I was feeling really good about the progress I was making and about myself. And arrival day was coming for my son. I am ready. I am excited. I am in the kitchen when I hear him pull up with his U-Haul. And we get everything situated in the driveway, and I see that he's going to come in through the back door. So I go back through the kitchen, which is where my back door is located. Isn't that clever? And waited for him to come in. And this long, lanky drink of water climbs out of the U-Haul with a cup of coffee. You know, one of those styrofoam cups that you get at some brewery. Uh, and in he comes through the back door. And I am ready. I've got the mother hug up. I am ready. And he walks in through the mudroom and deposits his cup in the location where the trash can had been for a good half of his life. And he looks down and he looks at me, and I still have the mug of their hug going. And he looks down again. And now I did not say he was Albert Einstein, but he looked at me and he said, "You moved the trash can." I'm still with the mother hug. And I said, "Yes, I did." And he looks down again. He looks at me and he says, "Why?" Well, I'm a little taken aback by that, but the mother hug's still up. And I said, "Because I could." And he reaches down and he picks up his cup and he gets a Scott towel and he wipes the mess up. And he said, "Okay." And he gives me a great big hug and we're fine. And life went on for a while. Uh, but he was really frustrated and really cranky and not in a good humor. And I said, "What's wrong with you? What is your problem?" And he looked at me and he said, "The trash can." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I don't like where you put it." I said, I don't care. I said, it was to help me change a habit. He said, I don't have a habit. I want to change. And in that moment, it suddenly dawned on me why sometimes our family of support does not necessarily jump on board with both feet when we get excited about a change we are making. We interact with them on a regular basis. Our changes we are making to help ourselves may, without our knowledge, be impacting them. And such was the case with my son and I, and with my trash can. That one little tiny change that seemed to be only for me was impacting him also, and the way that he chose to live his life. How dare I make a change in his known life without discussing it with him? And I thought to myself, he has a right to. I feel a little put out about this. I should perhaps have given him advance warning that a change was coming, but I had been with it enough that I was no longer remembering the initial trauma I had in making a change. And most changes create some degree of discomfort and do impact others because we do not exist in a vacuum. That's just absolutely the truth. Uh, my son, in fact, one night got so frustrated that after I had gone to bed, he moved the location of the trash can back to the original location that he had always known. And when I got up in the morning, I said, have you lost your mind? What have you done with my trash can? And he said, I moved it back to where I'm comfortable with it. And I thought, aha, this is a lesson for me to learn that if I wish to get help from others, I need to fill them in a little bit on what's going on and why this process is important to me. Uh, this relationship with a truly loved individual was really messing up the current dynamic in his stay with me. That was not the intent, uh, but that was the result. Uh, so I thought, are there other relationships with my neighbors, friends, family that may be impacted by my brilliant idea to move my trash can? And bear in mind, I had really no plans to relocate it back to its original position. I just was trying to be more aware and realize what the impact was creating. Uh, it was not inspiring my son in any way. In fact, it was disrupting his life. Uh, it would be nice if all the changes you made had a ripple effect and they positively impacted all the others with whom you interact all the time, but that doesn't happen. Uh, disrupt, disruptions to routines and to expectations really can cause stress and can even fatigue others. My son said he was really amazed at how inefficient he was because he could not keep uh, the current location of the trash can in mind and found himself backtracking often or cleaning up messes resulting from his not paying good attention. That's a fair complaint. Um, he too eventually began to get into the new habit that was sort of forced on him without asking for his input in any way. Uh, but it was an uncomfortable experience, as changing any habit usually is. Uh, changes in all kinds of roles that you have, your skills, authority. Uh, when a company makes changes in how they do business, or you change work situations, all those things can require new processes, new learning, and they can potentially cause anxiety uh, just because there are changes in the way the routine is. Are they trying to get me out the door by making all these changes and making this job more difficult? Uh, it can create an emotional reaction. Others might get a little bit ticked off. They may want to bargain with you about what would it cost you to put whatever it is back the way it used to be. Uh, or they just simply may be depressed as they adjust to the new status quo that they would have preferred not to make. Those are all legitimate, but I had not considered for 1 second how my change might impact my son. Uh, just imagine when you change your whole way of maybe being active, your whole way of cooking, the impact that that can have on not just you, but those who are around you most frequently. It can really mess things up. I mean, look what a simple move of a trash can 8 feet did. Uh, Amazing, isn't it? How much our singular actions ripple out to affect others in our circle of influence. Uh, the best way I found in dealing with this with my son, and my son is really an easygoing guy, but this one was just a little bit beyond his comprehension, is to manage the way I communicate the change. That was the first thing I realized. I had to sit him down and explain to him this was really important to me, and this is why it was important. It helped me keep what I wanted to truly accomplish front of mind, and that was essential. He became much more empathetic when he realized his mom was doing it because it was something she felt was good for her to do, for herself, to make her health better and many other areas of her life as well better by this one simple change. And so by communicating, he began to get on board. The next thing I tried to do with him was to be truly empathetic, to recognize his resistance often comes from a desire for stability. He was coming home. Home did not have a location for a trash can where it now did. Um, he wasn't feeling the love. Why did you move it, Mom? So once I began to step into his shoes, I could understand why it made him uncomfortable too. Because quite frankly, I didn't think he cared one way or the other. It was my change. It was my trash can. And then lastly, I tried to be as best I could so positive about this and showing him that I was doing this out of a willingness to change, uh, to make my life better and longer, healthier, happier. And these were good, solid reasons for implementing this as a tool to guide me through the roughest part of a change of any kind. Uh, and that if the tool kept working, I would probably continue to use the tool until it no longer had the desired effect. Um, my willingness to change really was a positive motivator to him to embrace uh, the journey I was taking. And one of the funniest things was he said, well, since I'm in this with you, and can't seem to get out of it until they're ready to take on my household goods. I'm going to make a change too. And he decided on his own what change he wanted to do, which was to quit smoking, for which I was truly grateful. But every time he would go to the trash can, he would say to himself, I am not smoking. And it just kept reinforcing him. And the whole time he was with me, he did not smoke, which was just wonderful. And he continued when he went to his a new place and was setting it up. He decided on something other than the trash can for his change and reminder, but he picked something that worked really well for him. So I guess what I want to say to all of you today is just simply, it is wonderful to find a way to keep your focus when you're trying to develop a new, healthier habit, but to take into consideration at least what the impact may have on those who are around you on a daily basis or pretty often, because our changes do ripple out. We need to find a way to keep our focus, but we also need to keep our awareness of impact on others who are trying their very best to help us on our own personal journeys. So, if you're brave enough, I welcome you to pick out something that you have as a true embedded habit and change it. And if you're brave and creative, you might even try moving, if not your kitchen trash can, maybe your bathroom receptacle. You may think about changing a clock, which has been in a certain location on a wall as long as you can remember. You probably don't even realize how often you look at that clock, but it could be used as a reinforcer. If nothing else, you could change your watch. Here's mine slipping down from this wrist to this wrist. You'd be amazed how many times during the day you might glance at your watch. There's always something small that is convenient by repetition, if nothing else, that you could tweak a little bit and make a change to help you make another change for the positive in your life. So think about it. If you decide, please leave us a note in the comments and tell me what you chose you might want to change, but how it's going, and if it had any impact on any of the other people with whom you share support throughout each and every week. I bet you'll have as much fun with it as my son and I did. For now, I'll say bye. Have a good day.